Hey, okay, this is going to be part two of late comic book reviews. Okay, and so we're just going to jump right into it. Racism is bad, and superheroes are the answer. This is Six Pack and Dog Welder, Hard Traveling Heroes. I guess this is a spinoff of the old Hitman series that came out from DC back in the late 90s. I was aware of it, but I didn't really read it. It was written by Garth Ennis, and so yeah, this is Garth Ennis, and the art is by Russ Braun. The series was obviously, of course, about a hitman who had telepathic powers and X-ray vision, and it was just kind of this violent, crazy thing, and there was a lot of satire and parody in it. So part of the series, these guys showed up. Section 8, which was this team of like gross loser type heroes or whatever, and I guess like I said, these are two guys from it. Um, Six Pack, who seems to be a big drunk, and Dog Welder, whose powers are he welds dogs to your faces. So yeah, this series it's a satirical thing. It made me laugh. I kind of liked it. I just thought the splash page was pretty funny. The one guy is obviously reading a reprint edition of the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams Green Lantern series. And at the same time, his friend is reading My Struggle by Mel Gibson. So, yeah, okay. Anyway, okay, so next, Hillbilly #1. Okay, I bought this just because a lot of people on YouTube in the comic book community were talking about it. And yeah, I'm glad I get it. It's written and drawn by Eric Powell, the guy who used to do the Goon. And basically the story combines elements of horror and the supernatural and folklore and rural America and things like that. And it's just a solid comic. Yeah, like I said, it has that supernatural element, but there's a bit of humor in there as well. And it's just weird and it's spooky and it's awesome. I'm glad I got it. I'm really looking forward to the next issue for this. Beer break. Midnight of the Soul, #2 and #3, art and story by Howard Chaykin. Um, I don't think this comic is being talked about a lot. I think it's pretty interesting. Pretty much basic Howard Chaykin. It's set back in the 50s. The main character is this former soldier from World War II, and he's come back home and he's tried to be a writer and he's kind of failed at that, and he's kind of an alcoholic. And what happens is he finds out that his wife has been sleeping around, so he's kind of trying to find out, what's going on with her and what she's been up to or whatever. Turns out the guy that she was sleeping with ends up dead, and the wife is on the run. And it could be the guy was this musician who may or may not have been skimming money from uh, from some mob guys or whatever. And so there's people trying to find the girl who's run off. He's trying to find his wife, while at the same time find out what's going on. And then there's all kinds of unsavory characters. There's some hitmen. There's characters in it. Uh, Drug addict people are in it. And of course, this guy is not only, like I said, trying to solve what's going on with his wife and so on and so forth. He's also dealing with his personal demons with alcohol and with his post-traumatic stress disorder, as far as being a soldier and things like that. So it's pretty good. It's really interesting. I wasn't too sure how I was going to feel about it when I first read the first issue, but getting into it, I'm kind of getting involved with the story and the mystery and the puzzle and everything of it. So the only drawback is it's modern Howard Chaykin art. So while it's not bad in a couple spots, it's a little bit shaky. So, but I don't know. The production values are really good and layouts are great. and you get Chaykin's, dialogue and whatnot. Chaykin's dialogue is actually pretty profane, so there's lots of cursing in it. There's lots of slurs and stuff like that. But if you can get past that, I think it's a really interesting series so far. Wonder Woman number four and number five. Number four is written by Greg Rucka and art is by Nicola Scott. And number five is written by Greg Rucka and Liam Sharp. People probably know the comic is being double shipped now, so we're getting two stories at the same time. So the one story is a contemporary story, and the other story is a flashback origin story. The contemporary story, I think, is okay. It's not super great, and it's not super bad. It's mediocre in the best. It's average. I won't say it's mediocre, but it's average. Basically, it has to do with Diana trying to figure out why her memories seem to contradict each other and what's the true nature of her being. She kind of goes to Olympus and she seems to be getting rejected there, so she goes to where her arch foe Cheetah is and has a talk with her and tries to get some help to get in touch with spirits or something like that. Meanwhile, Steve Trevor and his special forces group are somewhere vaguely in the same area on a mission there, and they run into a bad guy. We get reintroduced to the new Etta Candy. New Etta Candy is African American here, and then there's some possible hijinks going on with somebody else we don't know of. It's okay. It's not a bad combo by any stretch of the imagination. It just doesn't grab me the way I want to be grabbed. I'm actually a little bit surprised at how much I like the flashback story, and I just think I don't know, it's just a lot. I just think the writing's a little bit better, even though it's a story we've seen a million times, and it's not a particularly different take on it necessarily. It's still the same basic story, but what I really like is what Greg Rucka has done with the dialogue and the characterizations. I like the kind of debates and philosophical, talks that Queen Hippolyta and the other Amazons have. I like his take on the slightly younger Wonder Woman, and I buy it. I buy the motivation of this character. I buy the motivations of the other Amazons. Some are like, yeah, I don't know, blah 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 blah. A whole thing about, well, we can't we can't stay hidden away from the world and all that sort of thing. And others are like, no, this is only going to be trouble. And all that. I think it really works. I think it's no secret that Greg Rucka actually wanted to do um, the Earth One, Wonder Woman Earth One project that they ended up giving to Grant Morrison. So I'm sure what it is a lot of his ideas that he'd been thinking about and sitting on for a long time. He's put into this sort of Earth Year One origin story, but it works. I really enjoy it, and plus I think I like Nicola Scott's art a little bit more than Liam Sharp's art. So yeah, there we go. Astro City number 37, written by Kurt Busiek, and the art is by Brent Anderson. I really, really, really enjoyed this issue. Astro City starting to bounce back. It was always a quality product, but couple of issues, last few issues have been and kind of man, not bad, but didn't really didn't really grab you. But he's back to some really solid storytelling. Basically, in this issue, we have this guy, the Broken Man. He's kind of Kurt's version of, say, maybe Sandman or whatever, and he tells the story of this traveling musician who came to Astro City back when it was still a frontier town before it even became Astro City, and about how this musician, nobody was really too sure who he was or what his name was, or they didn't even know what race he was, but everybody had heard about how he'd go around playing music and, excuse me, joining in with other people, and he just moved all the people until one day he ran to the wrong guys and they beat him up and killed him. And his guitar mysteriously burst into flames and dissolved into the ground or whatever. And then you know, years later, during the ragtime era, they talk a little bit about kind of like segregation and things like that. But then all of a sudden, while the ragtime music came and gave everybody hope, and black people were playing ragtime, but white people liked it too. This mysterious spirit type figure came around doing wacky hijinks and but righting wrongs at the same time. And then he disappeared as the people who grew up with him got older and um, and went to war and things like that. But now it's a new time and jazz is coming back. And oh, now there's another spirit coming on. And this just was a really, really, I really like this comic. Really, it really worked with me on one hand, the kind of historical bits that Kurt Busiek put in there, as well as the symbolism and everything, and it just a solid issue. I really dug it. Black Widow number 6, written by Mark Wade and the artist by Chris Samney. In this issue, we find out what Natasha's big secret is and how it ties into Iron Man and his past. Uh, solid comic book storytelling. The script is good. I really enjoy the art. I totally enjoy the visuals. And, and I said it before, I'm just shocked that this comic book doesn't get a little bit more attention than it does. But awesome stuff right here. Rebirth Blue Beetle, number 1, written by, the story is by Keith Giffen and Scott Collins. Collins. Collins or Collins. It's Kolins, and the artist by Scott Collins. Um, I really enjoyed it. It was really fun, lighthearted, worked the way it's supposed to work. Basically, Blue Beetle is a young kid, goes to high school. He's a superhero in his part time. And this actually has the return of Ted Cord, the former Blue Beetle, who I don't think even made an appearance in the New 52 at all, but he's here. And I like the role they had for him. It's like the obvious thing you would do, I would guess, where he's kind of like the mentor figure to the younger Blue Beetle, and he kind of, you know, provides them with equipment and advice and stuff like that. And he's really kind of encouraging them and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought it was fun. There's a kind of interesting fight with these kind of weird bad guys. We really don't know exactly what they want, but the fight is fun, and you're kind of left on a cliffhanger because obviously and I don't think I'm giving too much away. They seem to be working for somebody else. We get a glimpse of somebody who may or may not be pulling the strings, and yeah, it's got me interested enough to want to buy the next issue. So I thought it was thumbs up for me. I thought it was a solid issue. Okay, Superwoman number 1, art and story by Phil Jimenez, and the cover here is by Terry Dobson. And I just want to show you this. I really dig this double page spread. I think that's really cool. I think that's awesome. When I first heard this title announced, for whatever reason, I thought this was going to be like the bad guy from like Earth 3. I thought this was going to be evil Superwoman, and I was like very excited. I'm thinking, oh wow, I wonder what they're going to do with it. And then I found out it's regular, it's Lois Lane from the normal Earth, and my excitement went down a little bit. And then I perked back up when I found out that Phil Jimenez was going to be doing the art and story. I actually really liked it. The comic has basically it's Lois Lane. Um, I'm not sure how much I should give away about this, but Lana Lane plays a big part in this comic, and it's basically the characters are picking up over the disappearance of um, New 52 Superman. I don't know, whatever. But we have this. There's a guest appearance by Lex Luthor, and he's got his battle suit, and he's Lex Luthor Superman. And yeah, it does a really good job of establishing the relationship between the characters, what their mission statement is, and there's some interesting action going on, and it has a pretty interesting cliffhanger as well. So, solid issue. Did a good job of explaining it. Well, I'll say explaining the things I need to know to at least read this one comic, and it's got me interested enough to want to pick up the next comic, so or the next issue. So yeah. Okay, Deathstroke #1, written by Christopher Priest, and the art is by Carlos Pagulayan, and the pencils are by Carlos Pagulayan, and the inks are by Jason Paz. Yeah, I liked it. Again, decent issue, good setup. Basically, we get a little bit more about Deathstroke's backstory, his relationship to his wife, his kids, his friendship with a guy named Wintergreen, who was his butler, who he now has to save. At the same time, what's going on with his mission in Africa, and there's a villain in here. Clock King is in here, and it's a really interesting story. Like I said, about the relationship these characters all have to each other. Plus, there's action, there's suspense, there's double crosses and double crosses. Uh, Really good. Not super perfect, but again, really solid comic, decent art, decent writing. So yeah, I'm on board for this comic. Okay, that's pretty much it. I've got through most of my comics. There's only a couple I didn't read. Um, I haven't gotten around to reading the most recent issue of House of Tennis, though I have it, and I haven't read Hellboy in Hell #9 yet. So, but yeah. Oh, and also I haven't read the new Tank Girl yet, although I'm sure I'll get to it next. Um, but uh, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate anybody that leaves comments and things like that. And everybody, have a great day.